Today's Toy Spot, we're having a look at the Mattel DC Comics Multiverse Batman Arkham Origins Bane. By comparison, Bane is obviously from the different end of things, being that this is Batman Arkham Origins. The other figures really were encompassing different elements of course, the other Batman games. But I'm glad to see that they released Bane. I mean, I think Bane is a good choice for a smaller scale figure. The DC Collectibles version of Bane, the 6 to 6.5 inch figure, looked awesome. I thought he looked good. But I like this. I like the idea of him with the jacket. I think that's a really nice looking touch. Once again, it looks like Bane comes with absolutely no accessories. The same thing that was said for Batman. And at least Mr. Freeze and Azrael came with accessories. But on the back, the other figures in this line, you can get Batman, Mr. Freeze, and Azrael. And sadly, no read-up once again. It just says, warning, small parts may be generated. Recommend for ages 0 to 3. This could have easily been down here. And if you're going to really make this card specific to the character, which obviously it is because it has Bane artwork, a read-up could have easily gone right here. It's a shame, really, that they saw that as a missed opportunity, because you could have at least gotten a read-up on the character. Having said that, Spot's going to take himself a break. I'm going to get this opened up, and when we come back, we're going to get a better look at the DC Comics Multiverse Bane. There's more heading your way, guys. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. And having a look at Bane, he's not as impressive in hand as I would say he was in packaging, or really, for that matter, when we saw images online for this upcoming line of figures. I thought Bane looked good. In hand, he's a little disappointing just because he doesn't have a lot going for him, but I think things such as his head make up for some of that. The head sculpt on Bane actually turned out pretty good. You don't see any pupils or anything in his eyes. It's just solid white eyes. And the mask and the mouth, everything work well to Bane. Because, of course, he's wearing his jacket, you can't see any of the tubing or wires or anything that's hooking him up to his venom. You can see some of it around the lower neck area, right there, but the rest of the figure is just jacket and pants. There is some extra paint between the blue, and you can see the lighter, almost more like a gray blue in the leg section. He's got some pockets, and he's got some brown in the shin guard section there. So that's nice. But because he's wearing his jacket, there's just really not a lot of details. They could have found something just to add to this jacket, just to kind of break up all this brown, this muddy brown that makes up the majority of the figure. Yes, I understand that the coloring of the jacket is somewhat accurate, but if they had just found something to kind of just break up a lot of this I don't want to say boringness, but there's just not a lot going on here. He is also slightly limited in articulation. Now, really, all the figures from this line aren't super articulated to start off with, but Bane's head rotates left and right, slightly up and down, but because he's got this collar on the back there, you see the collar here, he can't move his head. It moves to about there, and it moves to about there. That's it. The same can be said for his shoulders. They do at least go out, but he does have a bend at the elbow, not really moving them all that much, though. They go to about there. He has a rotation in the hands, and some nice coloring in the hands. You get some more of the flesh coloring, just to break up some of the details on the, or the lack of color, I should say, in the jacket. He has a swivel in the waist, which kind of breaks up the jacket because the jacket is below the waist, but of course, then he's got the leg swivel. The legs go forward, back, out. So even though the fact that these capsules are on the side, his legs still move out. He has a swivel in the thigh, a bend at the knee, And once again, no articulation in the foot. He does have peg holes, but once again, no display base is featured with this figure. It is not to say that Spot is disappointed with this figure, because I understand, again, the source material that this figure is based on. I just kind of wish that there was a little more breaking up this than what we're seeing right here. It still works out to be a really good Bane figure, and by looking at this, perhaps for the wrong reasons, this makes me want a 3 3/4 inch comic version of Bane. If we were to maybe, I know they had approached a 3 3/4 inch figure scale, it never really worked out the way that Marvel Universe figures worked out, but looking at the way that the Bane is set up here, even if I find the colors are just a little too muddy, the way he's built and the way he looks, the size of him would be really ideal to be doing him in a comic version as well. And probably the likelihood of them ever releasing another 3 3/4 inch line of figures, it seems doomed every time DC ever approaches that. But I'd like to see, based on this, I'd like to see at least a Bane figure. By scale, by the way, and one thing I really like about at least this line, they're not all the same figure. It's not a case where with the DC Universe figures you get 6-inch figures and they all kind of look the same. By comparison, there is Mr. Freeze. Let's actually get his legs straight here. There's Mr. Freeze, there is Bane. Mr. Freeze slightly shorter than Bane. Of course, the real pairing, there's Batman next to Bane. So you can see that, yeah, Bane should be, of course, taller than Batman, and he succeeds in that. I like that they're so off-scaled from one another, like where Bane is so considerably taller. That's the way it should be. If it was like exactly the same, I would be crying foul. I still think, though, of the 4 figures, my favorites are definitely still the Bane and the Mr. Freeze. I think they both turned out very well. Mr. Freeze definitely has a more exciting look to him. Bane, again, I don't take anything away from his look. I just wish that there was a little more breaking him up. Bane, by the way, I'm going to give Bane a 7.5. Today's Toy Spot, we're having a look at the DC Comics Multiverse Batman Origins Bane. And however, while we have finished up our looks at the multiverse figures, definitely stay tuned. Spot's going to have a lot more Toy Spots heading your way. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.